Okay, hello, can we hear me? Hello. Hope everyone can hear me. So I'm sorry about that break. I was having an issue with my network, so I had to fix that up. Okay, so we're about to commence now. Please let me get a response so that I'll be sure I'm not speaking to myself. So can somebody just maybe talk or type in a chat? Let me be sure I can be heard. That I'm not talking to myself. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so right now I'll be sharing my screen. So I want to share my screen now so we all can see my screen. Okay. So I would like to ask, where did we stop in the last class? Please, where did we stop in the last class? Samuel is saying he can't hear me. Samuel, I think it's a problem with your network because every other person can hear me. So Samuel, check your connections, check your this thing very well. Somebody is saying you can't see my face. Yes, my video is off, so you cannot see my face. Sorry about that, but you will hear my voice and you will see my screen. It's just my face you cannot see. So my video is off. Okay, so I was asking, please, where did we stop? If not, I'll just move on. Okay, so for tonight, we'll be touching VLOOKUP. That's what we'll be handling tonight. VLOOKUP. So hope we have not treated VLOOKUP before now. Let me be sure so that we don't repeat what we've done already. Please, the old people here in this group, please, someone should respond. Okay, so you can unmute and talk so that I can hear you.
We have done view lookup and X lookup.
Okay. We've done VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP last week. Hello?
Yes, please.
Yeah, we did that last week.
Okay. V and, is it V and X or V and H? Which one did you do?
I think it's V and X we did though.
V and X. Okay. If that's the case, if it's V and X you did, so let me see. Okay, so let's touch some other formulas. So let me see. Let's do index and match. Then let's also do, I'm just getting some feedback here. Some people say they are just joining for the first time. So I know there's a new badge that was added today to this group. So, okay, this is what I'll do. I'll try to be as fast as possible. Let me do a revision on the V and on the V. So it might just be a revision, though it's for even for the old persons that did it last week. I think this would be a new perspective to VLOOKUP that you all would appreciate. So I think the perspective I'll be taking it from might be a bit different from what you did last week. So let me just start from there for the benefit of those that are new. Okay, so usually we say VLOOKUP is vertical lookup. That's the meaning of the V there, vertical. And we say some ground rules to be observed when using VLOOKUP is that your lookup value must be on the leftmost part of what you're looking for. So if, for example, if what I'm looking for is the total score of, let's say, total score of Dixon, that means Dixon must be on the leftmost part of what I'm looking for, because I'm using Dixon to look for the total score. So this is an example. So let me say I type in Dixon here. So let me say I have Dixon here. Dixon. So now I want to look for the total score of Dixon. So using VLOOKUP, I'll say equals
Hello.
to,
Your screen is not
Hello.
showing. No.
You are not showing anything, no.
you can't see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, your screen is not showing.
Oh, so sorry about that. How about now?
No, yes, you can see now. We
Yeah,
can see it
screen
now.
is up.
Yes.
Screen is up now.
Okay, sorry
Yeah.
about that. Okay, so as I was saying, I said VLOOKUP, the value, the what you're using, your lookup value must always be on the leftmost part of what you're looking for. So in this example, I said we want to look for the total score of Dixon. So Dixon must be on the leftmost part because Dixon would be our lookup value. So Dixon must be on the leftmost part. That's how VLOOKUP works. You look from left to right when you're using VLOOKUP. So here was where I said we bring up VLOOKUP. So we have our VLOOKUP here. So our lookup value, we said is Dixon. Dixon is our lookup value, comma. Then our array now is asking us where is it going to find this Dixon where? So our array will start
Hello?
from, yes,
Hello?
who is there?
Yeah, please, it's me. Like, I would like to ask if it is possible, you could always share the data you'll be working with, like, for the evening with us before the class starts. Like, maybe we can get the data, and I will practice with it, like, as you are doing, and we are following with it. But then you don't share the data, then you finish, then after which you are not sharing the data. I think if you could always share the data before the class, it will be a good thing, so that we can follow up with the same data.
Okay, no problem. We'll look into that. But definitely that's not something I can do right now. So this is what I'll do. After the class, I can drop the data set on the group. Then the replay also will be dropped there. So you can watch the replay and at the same time use the data set to try them. So I think that would also work. Okay, so I said our lookup value is Dixon. Then our array, table array. So let's say we are picking from here down to this point. So you can see this array now covers right from where we have Dixon to what we are looking for, which is the total score. So we say comma there. Now the next thing is asking us for is the column index number. So the column index number now, we say which column are you asking it to return for you? So in this case, we have how many columns here? We have this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, and this is 7. And what we are asking it to return is the total score, which is in column 7. So I'll just have 7 there. And after that, I'll put my comma. Then the next thing I'll have to give it is the match range lookup. So I need an exact match because I don't want it to approximate. I want it to give me exactly what it finds where Dixon is. So I'll use an exact match, which is false, and then I'll close and I'll press enter. So immediately you can see that the total score for Dixon is 30. So let's trace that and see. Here we have Dixon. So if you move and you get to where you have total score, you can see that it's 30 you have there, where you have the total score. So that is how VLOOKUP works. It looks from left to right. So that's VLOOKUP for you. It's a vertical lookup. It looks through the vertical part. That's why you see it's asking for the column index number. Now, when you're using HLOOKUP, which is horizontal lookup, it's where you have that column index number would change to row index number, showing you now that that one is moving horizontally. So basically, that's the difference. So now I want to share a different perspective of this formula with us. So everybody should listen very carefully. Okay, so now this new perspective I want to share, let me share it with this data set. So now, this is VLOOKUP. I want to use VLOOKUP to fill in. Okay, let's start from here. So let me try increasing this. So I have my customer's ID here. So I have my customer's ID here. I have the customer's name. That's the names here. And I have these feedbacks here. So now I want to be able to use the customer ID to get the name here. So I want to be able to use this customer ID to get these names returned for me. So now, how do I do that? So I'll come here. I'll say 1. Remember the customer ID, I have 1 to 5. So I'll say 1. Now I come here. So using VLOOKUP here. Remember, I want to use this to get this. So I want to use the customer ID in order to get the name. So coming here, I'll say equals to, I'll bring VLOOKUP. So my lookup value now would be whatever is here, which is the customer ID. I'll say comma. Now my table array, where is it going to find this? My table array, I'll say it should pick everything here. From here down to here, everything there. And I'll say comma. Now what's the column index number? I want it to return whatever is in this column, which is column 2. So my column index number will be 2. And also in this case, I need an exact match, which is false. So I'll close and I'll press enter. So you can see I have 1 here as my customer ID, and the name here is Trace Delicious, which is exactly the name for customer 1. So let me change this to 2 now. If I change this to 2 and I press enter, you see that automatically it changes to whichever name I have there on 2. That was because in doing my lookup, I used this as my lookup value. So whenever this lookup value changes, it will also change this customer name. So if I change this to 4, if I change this to 4 and I press enter, you can see 4 would give me wholesome foods. And here I have wholesome foods as my 4. So, and so on and so forth. If I change this to 5 and press enter, it changes to the name I have in 5. So this is another perspective of using VLOOKUP. Then the next one I want us to look at, you see in all these ones, we've been using an exact match in our range lookup. Now I want to create a scenario where you don't need to use an exact match, rather you use an approximate match. So now let's look at this. Let's look at this. So here, this is a company data. This company has told its workers to give free cookies to customers. Now, for the customers to be qualified for these free cookies, this is the criteria they have to meet. So for every customer that bought below 100 cookies, is not entitled to any free cookie. But for customers that bought up to 100 cookies, they are entitled to 5 free cookies. For customers that bought up to 200 cookies, they are entitled to 10 free cookies. For customers that bought up to 300 cookies, they are entitled to 15 free cookies. And for those that bought up to 400, they are entitled to 20 free cookies. So this is it. And now, this is the order our customers bought. Now, for this very customer, he bought 363. For this second customer, he bought 101. For this one, he bought 245. For this one, he bought 356. For this one, he bought 26. For this one, 392. For this one, 4. So now, these are their order, and this is the order ID. Now, we want to use VLOOKUP to put in how many free cookies each of them is entitled to based on this order that they ordered. So how do we do that? We come here, we say equals to VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP. Now, what would be our lookup value here? Our lookup value here would be the cookies they ordered. So this is the cookies they ordered. So this would be our lookup value. We say comma. Now, what would be our table array? In this very example, our table array will be picking from this second table. Now, here we are working with tables. So this is one table and this is another table. Now, for our table array, we'll be working with this other table. Reason being that the free cookies and the determinants for the free cookies, we have it on this other table. We don't have it here. So that's why we are working with this table as our table array. So for our table array, we'll copy from here down to here. So everything here becomes our table array, and we say comma. Now, what will be our column index number? Our column index number will pick only columns from this table. So that will be 1 and 2. We have only 2 columns on this table. And what we want it to return is in column 2, which is where we have free cookies. So we say our column index here will be 2. And then our range of lookup, you know, we've been using exact match ever since, but this time around, we cannot use an exact match. Reason being that the order here is not exactly what the customers bought. You see here, we say 100 to 5, 200 to 10, 300 to, and there's the order here is not exactly what we have here. So that's why we cannot use an exact. Rather, what we'll be using here is an approximate match so that Excel can approximate and give us whatever value here is closest to what they ordered. That is what Excel will be giving to us as the free cookies. So here we'll say we should do an approximate match, which is the true value, and we close and we press enter. So now you see, for this person, he ordered 363. The free cookies is entitled to is 15. That's because 15 is in this range. 15 is greater than 200. That's the range where this falls into is greater than, is up to 300, but it's not up to 400. So it falls in here. So now if I come here and I do a drag down, and I do my drag down, it will fill for others. So you see, for this person that ordered 101 is entitled to 5. For this one that ordered 245 is entitled to 10. For this one that ordered 356 is entitled to 15. For this one that ordered 26 is entitled to none, to 0. That's because it's not up to 100. Then, and so on and so forth. So we can see here, the free cookies has been ordered according to what we have here, using this as our determinant. So it looks at this, and then it places this in an approximate match to whatever they ordered here. So at this point, I will pause and ask, is anybody confused, or are we following to this point? Let it not be that I'm too fast and we are confused. So this is the point where people will need to talk.
Question.
Okay,
Question, please.
Yeah, I'm listening.
All right. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Hello. Am I being heard? Okay.
Yes,
So, well done.
I can hear
Sorry,
you.
my first question is around this approximate match that you did.
Okay.
Does it mean that if statement can also be used to get this number as well?
If statement can be used.
Yeah. Can it be used? That's the
No,
question.
no, you cannot use if. You can't use if for this because you're actually trying to look for a value. So you use a lookup function for it.
Okay. Then the previous one that you did, the exact match, where you highlighted column 1 and column 2, where we have 3 columns. Why did you not highlight the entire 3 columns? Why just column 1 and column 2? The previous one.
Okay. So let me look into that. You said where I highlighted column 1 and 2 alone.
Not here, not this one.
Okay, yeah. Is
The
it
exact match. Yes, yeah.
this one?
Exactly.
I highlighted 1 and 2, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Why
say
not?
Why did I not highlight everything here?
Everything, yes.
Yes, I could have done that. That would still not change the outcome. I can do that. So even if I should do that, it will not change. So far as my column index number is 2. So what it will return for me is whatever is in 2. So that wouldn't still change anything.
All right. Thank you. Then the final question from me is the true and false value statement that you use. It means that for approximate match, we use true. For exact match, we use false.
Yes, that's the meaning. So you use true for approximate match.
Noted. Thank
you. And you use false for exact match.
All right. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay. So I have a hand raised. That's Amanwo. So Heli, you can unmute. And ask your question. Heli, Amanwo.
Can you hear me, sir? Good evening.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to ask this question.
You're welcome.
And I also want to apologize for not following up judiciously. I've not looked into this VLOOKUP, but nevertheless, I still can ask a little question. My question is this: at what point, maybe if I'm working, at what point do I use this? Do I know that I'm supposed to use a VLOOKUP? What is this VLOOKUP all about? Apologies for not going through this course as I'm supposed to, but please, sorry to take you back. Can you just, in summary, explain to me what this VLOOKUP, what I'm to look out for? Why should I use VLOOKUP? I don't understand. And the second question is this approximation that you did, the second part of it, this looking for cookies and cookies orders versus free cookies. I do not understand this part. Please, if you can kindly go back and repeat it, that would be helpful for me, please. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So for VLOOKUP, we say it is the same thing as vertical lookup. So the V there stands for vertical. Now, scenarios where you can make use of VLOOKUP are scenarios where what you're looking for is in a vertical table. So what you're looking for is in a vertical table. At that point, you can always make use of VLOOKUP. But if what you're looking for is in an horizontal table, then you'll likely be making use of either the HLOOKUP or you can use the XLOOKUP. Because if you're using XLOOKUP, whatever you're looking for, it doesn't really matter if it's in a vertical or in an horizontal table. X looks both ways. But if what you're looking for is in a vertical table and you don't want to use X, you can just use VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP, just as the name goes, is a vertical. So whenever you're dealing with a vertical table, then you can always make use of the function. So I don't know, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for the second part of your question, so I'll just go through this again. So let me take out what is here so that I'll start from. So this is what I explained. I said now, as a company, the company has decided that they want to give out free cookies to their customers. And then they have a criteria, for giving these free cookies. This is the criteria that for everybody that bought less than 100, they are not entitled to any free cookie. But for customers that bought up to 100 cookies, they are entitled to 5. For those that bought up to 200 free cookies, they are entitled to 10. For those that bought up to 300, they are entitled to 15. Those that bought up to 400, they are entitled to 20. So these are the criteria for them to get these free cookies. Now, this is a table where we have this is the cookies our customers ordered, and this is the order ID. So this is the order ID, and this is their order. So for this very order ID, this person ordered 363 cookies. For this very order ID, this person ordered 101 cookies. For this order ID, this person ordered 245 cookies. For this order ID, So and so on and so forth. This is the number of cookies they ordered, and this is the order ID. Now, what we are looking for here is to appropriate these free cookies to these their orders, so that we can now know how many free cookies each of these order is entitled to. So I said to get that, we can use VLOOKUP. That's because we have this in a vertical table. So I said to get that, we say equals to, you bring up VLOOKUP. Then now, what is your lookup value? Your lookup value will be the cookies they ordered, which is this. The number of cookies they ordered, that's your lookup value, because that's what you're using. Now, for your table array, remember I said in VLOOKUP, the table array, you always look from the leftmost part. But in this very case, it's different because you're working with two different tables here. So it's not like you're on the same table. If you're on the same table, then you would copy from the leftmost part down. But here is two different tables. So I cannot start copying from here to this point because it's two different tables. So that's why I'm working with just this table. Now, this table contains what I want because I have the free cookies here, and I have the determinant for the free cookies here also. So that is why I'm using this table as my table array. So this will become my table array. I say comma. Then the next thing there on the syntax is the column index number. So I said our column index number would always come from your array. So since this is the array I'm using, which column in this array do I want it to return? And then we have 1 and 2 columns in this array. So what I want it to return is what is in my column 2 in this array. So that is I'll insert 2 here. And then the next argument is the range lookup. For the range lookup here, I say I cannot use an exact match, which is false, because what I have here is not the same thing as what is here. Now, assuming what was here is 100, 200, maybe 300, 400, 100, 200, 0, I would have used an exact match. But that is not the same. What I have here is different from what I have here. So I want Excel to do an approximation and give me the closest value of this to what I have here. So that is why I'm doing an approximate match here. Please, are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is the reason I'm using an approximate match here. So I say you should do an approximation, and I close this and I press enter. So immediately Excel will do that approximation for me. So here it finds that this person ordered 363. So 363 is not up to 400, and at the same time is greater than 300, is greater than 200. So that is why this value would fall in this category, and that's why I'm getting 15 here. So now I came here and I did a drop down for it to fill others for me. So Excel just filled the other ones for me. So you can see here, this person bought 101. That's why the person is entitled to just 5 cookies, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So is it clear now?
Sir, I got that part now. Okay, I want to, hello, sir.
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah, that part is clear, sir. Okay, I want to still ask, as I'm a newbie, I'm a JJC, but I want to understand, is there any point, for instance, you're working in an industry, like a company like this now, is there any point that they will give you a work to do, maybe as an Excel work to do, representing like this, or you as the person working, using the working as the Excel worker, I don't know what grammar to use there. Are you the one to provide all this information, or they will give you, they will hand over to you an already figured work like this to fill in? Please educate me.
Okay, so as now the name they call the people that deal with this, we call them data analysts. So as a data analyst, you must always have data you're working with. So nobody can maybe come to you and say, I just do. So data are not, or analysis are not done in a vacuum. So you must always have data you're working with. Now the difference there is data come in different forms. So the data can be raw, or it may be data that has already that is already organized. So that's just the difference.
Okay.
So if your data
Okay.
is raw, that means you need to organize it before you can start analyzing it. But if the data is
Wow.
organized, then you just go ahead with your analysis. So that's just,
Okay.
but data would always be provided for you. Of course, anybody asking you to do something is asking you to do that thing using something. So for example, maybe I come to you and I say, please, I need to know what it will cost us. We need to add 10,000 transport bonus to all of our staffs this month. So if you're asking me to get the total for that, so that you know what it will cost the company, you want to add 10,000 to everybody. So that means you practically have to give me all the staff information and their salaries so that I can now add 10,000 to it and then
Okay.
see what the new figure would be. That way, you
Okay.
can now know what it will cost the company to pay everybody an additional 10,000. So that is data.
Okay.
They will need to give you data
Okay.
for you to work on. So
Mhm.
you don't work.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so I have another hand raised up here.
Hello?
Yes.
Question, please.
Okay.
Again, you made mention of vertical table, horizontal table. How do you differentiate? Or can you give an example of a vertical table and horizontal table?
Okay. So the table I'm working with right now is a vertical table. That's because you can see it is this way. Or at least we understand what vertical means. So vertical is when it has to do with it looking from up to down, while horizontal is when it's looking from left to right. So if it were to be horizontal, you'll be looking this way. So let me give you an example of an horizontal table. So now we have this here. This is a vertical table. I want to change this table now to an horizontal table. Okay. So let me create a new sheet here. So let me go back here. Now I want to copy everything I have here. So I'll copy this, Control C. So I'll go to this new sheet that I just opened. So here, if I'm pasting, I'll use the paste option called paste as transpose. So we have it here, paste as transpose. So if I should paste this as transpose, you see what I just copied now, I've changed it from a vertical form to an horizontal form. So let me align this. Let me align all this. So as you can see now, here, this is a vertical table. Here, this is an horizontal table. So can you see the difference? So yeah, what I had going this way, now I have it going this way. So all of the first names, I have them this way. All of the middle names, I have them this way. All of the last name, I have them this way. All of the first tests, I have them this way. All of the second tests, I have them. So this is an horizontal table. I cannot use a VLOOKUP on a table like this. So it's HLOOKUP I'll use to get any information from this table. But here is a vertical table. Here I'll need to use VLOOKUP. I cannot use HLOOKUP for this. This is a vertical table. But here, this is an horizontal table. But this is the same table. Remember, I copied it from here and just pasted it here, but using transpose. So I changed it to an horizontal format. And now you can see how it is being displayed here. So for the person asking, are you okay? Does this solve your...
Yes, very clear, very clear.
Okay, thank you. So I have a hand raised here. So Gershon, you can unmute. Gershon.
All right, good evening. Thanks for your presentation. I have a question in VLOOKUP.
Okay.
So at what point do we enclose the cell reference, that is that $sign in VLOOKUP,
Okay.
particularly the table array?
Okay. At what point do we use the dollar sign in VLOOKUP, right?
Yes, sir.
That's your question, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the point where you use the dollar sign is at any point where what you're looking for is now overlooking the table you're working with. Now, the difference with what I did here is at this point, you would not need to use any dollar sign. That's because we are working with a table here.
Okay.
Now, let me copy this and let me change it. I don't want it to be in a table anymore. So let me copy this. So I want you to observe what I'm about to do. So let me copy this first. So now copy this. So let me create a new sheet here. So I'll paste this here. I'll paste this here. So please, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Please hope everybody is following. Okay. So this is my cookies ordered. This is my order ID, and this is the. So now I have this here. So let me go back again. Let me now copy this. Let me now copy this. So let me paste this. Let me say somewhere here. Okay. So can we see this? Hello.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. So now, if I'm to come here and use VLOOKUP, yeah. I come here and I say equals to VLOOKUP. Now my lookup value, I said is cookies ordered, right? And now my table array, I said is from here. So let me pick from here. I say comma. Now my column index, I said is 2. And then my range lookup, I said it's an approximate match, right? I press enter. Please, did it work? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, for the person that asks where would we need to log? So if I come here now and I drag this down, let's watch what will happen. Have you seen what has happened?
Yeah.
So what have you observed there?
Okay, from the 26, it's showing that it's not it's invalid because
Yes.
it's fall under 0 here.
Okay. So now, for this point, now this is how Excel works. I don't know if we've talked about that, but Excel has 3 different types of movement. So the first one, we call it the relative movement. That's the default movement of Excel. Excel moves relatively. Relatively in the sense that Excel observes the way you're moving and it moves in that same way. If you're moving vertically, it moves vertically. If you're moving horizontally, it moves horizontally. That's the first movement. The next movement is the absolute movement. That is where I have a particular cell locked and I want Excel to only move in reference to that cell that has been locked. Then the last one is what we call the mixed cell movement or the mixed cell reference. Now, this is why I have a whole column locked or a whole row locked. So I can have both a whole row and a whole column locked. So for this very one, Excel is moving relatively. So if I click here and we look at our formula here, you see that at this point, what is happening here for the table array, Excel is saying from K7 to L11. Please, are we seeing it? Can we see it? K7 to L11. Can we see it?
Yes.
Now, this is where we have
Yeah.
this is where we have K7. This is K7. And this is where we have L11. This is L11. Are we following? So that means the movement here, Excel is seeing from year to year, which is everything in this range. Everything here from K7 to L11. This is everything Excel is seeing when I am in this first one. Please, let's observe what is going on here from K7 to L11. But now, if I move down here, let's observe. Let me move to the second one. Have we seen Excel has moved relatively? The movement now is from K8 to L12. That means Excel have moved downward because I moved downward. So now it's from K8. Let's not forget this is K8 and this is L12. So Excel have now moved from here. This is now the movement at that point is from year to year. So I have a blank here, I have a blank here. But since Excel can still find something that fits this, that is why I still have 5 being returned here as the correct value for this. Now, moving to the next one. Remember here, K8 to L12. Now, moving to the next one, you see Excel has moved downward again to K9 to L13. So looking at K9, that will give you this. So this is where you have K9, and this is where you have L13. So now the movement is from year to year. From year to year. K9 to L13. This is now the movement at this point. At this point. And then if you move forward down again, it's the same thing. It has moved from K10 to L14. So now, where you now have this error showing, if you move down, you now see this is K11 to L15. Now, what do we have in K11? This is what we have in K11. See it here. This is K11. And then this is L15. This is L15. So from K11 to L15 is this point. And you can see that Excel trying to use the formula we did, it does not find anything here that is matching to what we asked it to do here. That's why it's returning an error for us. Then if I come down here again, it has moved from K12 to L16. This is our K12, and this is L16. So that movement, as we keep going, it keeps going down. So from this point now, it cannot find anything. So how do we get it to do this same thing for these others? That is where locking comes in. So we now have to make this point absolute. So that is where I can now come here, go to the first formula where I did my work, now go to that formula and lock this point where I have this. So where I have this table now, this place, I'll now make it absolute. So I'll lock it. Now, how do we lock? We say you can either use F4. So if I click on F4, I'll have that lock. I come here again, I click on F4, I'll have that lock. So now, if I've done this, and I come here now and press enter. So now you see this is now this. So if I now do a drop down here, if I do my drop down from this point, and I drag down to this point, you can now see that every other one now has worked. It is no longer seeing error because whatever is here, now let's see. Here I have K7 to L11. everything in that range has been locked. If I come here now, I still have K7 to L11. If I come here, I still have K7 to L11. So that means everything now that is here has been locked. So Excel is now responding to everything here based on what is here. It is no longer looking downward. So there is no longer a relative movement around this. This is now an absolute movement. So everything working here is looking down to here. Now, in this other case where we were working, this is a table. A table by default is already locked. So that is why when you're working with a table, you don't need to lock, because by default, a table, the range is already locked. So you don't need to use any lock, this thing, $sign for it, if it's in a table. But if it's not in a table, Excel will move relatively. So that is the difference. So for the person that asked that question, is this clear? Hope I've answered your question. Please, I need a response from that person to be sure you understood what I just explained. Yes, Sean, I think you asked this question. Are you clear? Okay, I think Keshaw is having an issue with his network. Okay, please, can we move? Daniel.
Hello.
Yes, you can speak up. Please, I'm getting hot back from you. I don't know what's causing that.
Hello.
Okay.
Sure.
Daniel, sorry I had to mute you. Yeah, I'm getting hot back from you, so I can barely hear anything you're saying. Okay, so I believe at this point we can move further. Please, any other question before we move? Hello, any other question? Okay. So at this point, I think we'll move forward. Okay, so just like I said to those of us that were in class last week, so I said today we're going to be looking at those new perspectives of how to use VLOOKUP. So I believe last week, perhaps maybe, please let me mute everybody. Some people are giving us. Okay. So I believe this is a whole new perspective for even those of us that were in class last week. So at least you've seen something new. So what of in a case where I'm being asked to fill this same information, but from two different sheets. So now I'll be doing VLOOKUP, the same information, but I'll be filling it from two different sheets. So here I have my first sheet here where I have this first table, and then here I have my second sheet here where I have this other table. So just like we did in the first example, is the same thing. So here it's just that I'm working with two different sheets. So I'll say equals to, I'll bring up VLOOKUP. So I'll bring up VLOOKUP, and then my lookup value will still be the quantity. So comma, my table array, in this case, I'll go to the other sheet and copy this table as my array, and I'll say comma. Then my column index, remember I always say column index has to come from where you have your table array from. So that will be column 2 from here. And then I'll also be using an approximate match. So I'll close and I'll press my enter. So you see immediately for this first order, person is entitled to 0 free cookies. So if I do my drop down, you can see it has filled it in for me. So it's just the same thing, but just that I was doing it from a different table. So I was just doing it from a different sheet. So I have this sheet and I have this other sheet here. So this sheet and this sheet. So that's just the difference. Okay, so let's look at HLOOKUP. Let's move forward to HLOOKUP. So for HLOOKUP, this same table, let's do something. Now you see this cookies order that we had in the vertical table. Now we have this in an horizontal table. Remember, this is exactly what we have here, but now this is in an horizontal form here. And I need to use this to fill in this. So this here now, I cannot use VLOOKUP because just as I told you, where I'm getting it from is not a vertical, is not in a vertical format. This is in an horizontal format. So that is why in this case, I cannot use VLOOKUP. So please, are you getting that? So here, I'll say equals to. So I'll now use my HLOOKUP. What's my lookup value? It will still be this, comma. What's my table array? It will be this. And I'll say comma. What's my, now you can see it's not asking me for column index number anymore. Rather, what it's asking for is the row index number. So you see, that's because Excel understands that I'm now working with rows, not columns, because my array is in rows. So now for my row index, what I want it to return is from row 2 of this. So I'll say, give me row 2. And then I also need an approximate match. So I'll close this and I'll press enter. So you see, it's very correct. But now the problem is if I do a drop down here, see what will happen. Excel will fill the rest with NaNA. So what is happening here is just exactly what I just explained when I told us, as far as I'm not working with the table, Excel would move relatively. So you can see at this point, here, this is A12 to F13. This is A12 and this is F13. So that means Excel was working with everything here. This was what Excel was working with at this point, and that is why the answer is correct. But at this point now, Excel has moved from that to A13 to F14. That means Excel is now working with from here to here. This is what Excel is now working with. So there's a relative movement downward. That is why this answer is wrong. But it still gives us a value because it can find a value here. Now, at this point, Excel is moving down to A14 to F15. So this is A14 and this is F15. So A14 to F15. So you can see here, there is nothing here anymore. That's why we are having it. So as we keep going down, you can see it keeps moving. A15 to F16. If I come here, A16 to F17, if I, and so on and so forth. So what I need to do for this to work for me is to come back to where I have the original one and then just lock it down. So just like what we did, I'll just lock it down using my F4 key and then I'll press enter. So now if I come down back here and do my drop down, so you can see that it will now work correctly because this is now locked down. So this is absolute. So Excel can see everything using just this to work for every other person that is here. So that exactly is also for HLOOKUP. Then let me try using the other example for the HLOOKUP. So remember this table, we changed it to an horizontal table. So let me say we have that Dixon here again, the Dixon that we used the last time. So Dixon, and here we want to look for the same total score for Dixon. So here you cannot use VLOOKUP because this is now a vertical table. So rather you say HLOOKUP. So your lookup value will still be this Dixon, comma, your table array, you still want to use everything here. So let's just copy everything here. And then you say comma. So now you see now it's not asking us for column index number anymore. It's asking for row index number. So what row do we want it to return for us? So how many rows have we copied in our array? We've copied row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7, row 8. We have 8 rows here. But what we are looking for is the total, which is in row 7. So we just say it should return the content of row 7 for us. So after that, it will ask us, is it an exact or approximate match? So in this case, we are looking for an exact match. So that's what we are looking for. And we close or press enter. So you can see even here, HLOOKUP will still give us 30 as Dixon's total score. So if I change this to row, let's say I change this to row 6. Row 6, of course, we know is examination score. So if I press enter, you see that his examination score for Dixon is 12. Now let's check how true that is. So this is Dixon, and this is his examination score. So it is 12. That means it is very correct. So at this point, I would like to ask, is there anybody that is lost? Okay, I have Sylvia asking what keys did you use to lock the cells? I used F4. So you can either use F4 or you can use Shift and 4. But if you're using Shift and 4, you do that locking one after the other. So let me go back and do it so that you see. So from this example we did, so if I should come here, so I'm trying to answer Sylvia's question. So let me come here, take this out, and take this out. So you see, the moment I click on F4, it locks the whole cell for me. But if I don't want to use F4 and I want to lock it one after the other, so what do? I'll just bring my cursor here. So I'll Shift and 4. We'll put a $sign there. Then I'll come inside here again and I'll lock Shift and 4. So that would lock A and A12 for me. So what this means is that I've locked A12. So if I have not put it both ways, I would only have locked column A and not cell A12. So now I've locked A12, and remember our range is from A12 to F13. So I want you to lock everything in that range. So I've locked A12. I also want to lock F13. So I'll come here, and I'll hold Shift and 4. I'll go to where I have the 13, and I also lock with Shift and 4. So this way, I've locked everything from in cell A12 down to cell F13, which is this range that I'm working with. So that's the two ways you can lock. You can lock with Shift and 4, or you can just lock with F4. So, Sylvia, I hope that question has been answered. Okay, if you want me to unmute you, please raise your hand. If I see your hand raised, I will unmute you. So I don't want everybody talking at the same time. That is why. So you can just raise your hand. The moment I see your hand up, I will unmute you. Then you can ask your question. Okay. So any other question? Please, is there any other person with question? Let me be sure we are getting it before we continue flying. Okay. So, Siwuku, you can unmute now.
All right, thank you. Please, let's go back to where the last ish lookup that we did using the horizontal table.
Okay. So, I'm there right now.
Okay. So if you click on 13, that is what we had the cell in front of Dixon. Then let's look at the formula bar.
I should click on 30, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
All right. So looking
So
into the
you have
formula
it,
bar.
you have it here?
Looking it, yes. Good. Looking into the formula bar. H lookup, open bracket, D13. D13 is it not supposed to refer to Dixon?
Yes, D13. This is D13, where I had Dixon typed in here. So I didn't want to pick it.
Why is it not inside the
Of course, I can still pick it from there. It will still work, but I just decided to pick it here. So assuming what I'm looking for in this range, maybe I don't know the exact location, but I know the person's name. So I could just type the person's name somewhere and just use HLOOKUP to find
it
what
from
I'm
there.
looking for. Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so any other one? Any other question? Please, let's talk now. Any other question? At least let me get feedbacks. So let us not all be keeping mute. So somebody is saying, let me read this. So I have somebody who just dropped a question here. Okay, Steve. So Steve is saying, I have a school result template I intend to share. I will want you to explain to me how the result sheet summary was drawn from the main data. How the result sheet summary was drawn from the main data. I don't understand. Okay, Steve, maybe you should raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Maybe if you're talking, I would understand you better. So, Steve, can you please raise your hand? Let me unmute you so that. So, Steve, okay, I've seen your hand now. Okay, Steve, you can unmute. Steve, you can unmute. Hello, Steve. I've given you permission to unmute. Please unmute from your end. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good. I'm a school professor. So somebody gave me a result template that I'm using to enter my school data. So the template, like, they have the name of children, the score sheet, everything, the subject, everything, the results given as in excellence and everything. At the end, under it, we now created a result sheet, drawing data from the main template of create data. So all those using a VLOOKUP or some other formula to draw it. So I'll be trying to go into it so I can get idea how you do it, but I still not understand it.
Okay,
So that's why I don't know if I can
you have
talk with you later.
you have the result sheet with you,
Yes. Yes.
and you have you're using a laptop, right?
No, I don't have the laptop now. I'm using phone.
You're using a phone. Okay, this is what I'll do.
Yeah.
So we can't do that in a general class. After the class,
All right.
you could drop me a message, drop me a DM. I'll say I will walk through that.
All right. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess we can move forward now. Okay. So what next? What next? Not next. Please, how many of us here are first timers? You just joined this class for the first time. Please, can you indicate? Just type in first time. So I want to know how many people here are joining for the first time. Okay. So how many is this? This is one. So just 3 persons. Okay. So these first timers, please hope we are not lost. Hope everything we did today, you were following and you quite understand what we did. So hope you're not lost. So hope you are following everything we did here today. So I want to be sure you're being carried along. So for the first timers, please, I need a response from you. Okay, so I'm asking, please, let me get a response. Hope we followed everything we're doing here tonight. Okay. So I've just heard from Usman. Can others respond also? Okay. Johnson said it's fine. Okay, how about the other 2 persons? Please, the other 2 persons, can you respond also? Okay, I'm following. Okay, fine. I just wanted to be sure. Okay. So I guess at this point, we'll look into HLOOKUP now. So we'll look into HLOOKUP now. Sorry, XLOOKUP, not H. So just like I tried to explain to us, the XLOOKUP is used to return values both from a vertical and an horizontal format or table. So it really does not have all those rules that V and H has. So it can return values from you from all angles, be it a vertical table or be it an horizontal table. It will still return a value for you. So that is how those ones work. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'll be using this to explain to us. I believe since most of us say we did XLOOKUP in the last class, so I believed Mr. Kim has shown us one way of using it. So let me show you another way of using it. So now I have this table here, and what I have here is I have these revenues per cookie. So this is how much we make. This is the revenue we make from per each cookie, and this is the cost of each cookie. These are the cookie types. So I want to fill in this using this information. So I want to fill in this using this information. So please, I want us to follow. So yeah, remember I said it doesn't look at where I'm looking from. I can look from anywhere. So yeah, I'll say equals to XLOOKUP. Now what will be my lookup value here? My lookup value is, since this is where I want to fill in, so I want to use this as my lookup value so that I can fill in for others. So I'll say comma. Now what's my lookup array? So when you're working with the XLOOKUP, the syntax is different. So in the VLOOKUP, you see after your lookup value, the next thing it will ask is the table array. After the table array, it will ask for the column index, and then you put an approximate or exact match. But yeah, the syntax is different. After your lookup value, you have the lookup array. After the lookup array, you now have the return array. And then you even have another one for if not found. So that if not found is for you want to give it what it should return if the value you're looking for is not there. The error message it should return. And then you have so many other syntax also. So now for the lookup array, this thing we are looking for, where is it going to look it up from? So it is here. We want it to look it up from here, where we have this cookies type. So we say comma. Then what should it return for us? What it should return for us is this, which is the revenue per cookie. This is what we are interested in. So this is what we want it to return for us. So the next thing is asking is the if not found, which is optional. So I'll just put my comma and I'll let it go. And then now it's asking for the match type. So for the match type here, I need an exact match. So I'll go for exact match, which is 0. And then I'll just end it there. I don't want to use these other things. They are not important to me. There are still more syntax here, but they are not important to me. The search mode, I'm not interested. So I'll just close it here and I'll press enter. So you can see for chocolate chip, the revenue per cookie is $5. So you can see there. Now, if I come here and I do a drop down here, you can see it will fill in for every other product we have here, according to what we did with this. So you can see we have the next one here is oatmeal resin. So where is oatmeal resin? It's $5. The next one here is fortune cookie. Where is fortune cookie? Fortune cookie is $1, and you can see it here. So it will just fill in everything for us in that manner. So that is for XLOOKUP. Now, I want to also use XLOOKUP to return multiple values. So I have this here, the same table we had the other side, but now this is not in a table. So this is not a table, but I want to return the same thing. But this time I want to return both the revenue per cookie and the cost per cookie together. I don't want to do for this and come and do for this. I want to return both at the same time using XLOOKUP. So I'll say equals to XLOOKUP. So my lookup value will still be this. I'll say comma. Then my lookup array. Remember, I always say the lookup array will come from here. So this is where I'm getting my lookup array from. So I'll say comma. Now for the return array. So in the last one, you saw that the return array, we used just this. But this time, I want it to return both this and this. So for my return array now, I'll be picking everything in these two columns. So that will be for my return array. And then I'll say comma, if not found, that's the error message. I'll just bypass that. Then I also need an exact match. At this point, I'll close, press enter. So you can see the revenue per cookie is $5 and the cost per cookie is $2. So you can see it here. So it is now here. So if I do a drop down here, so it will fill for others. So let me drag down. I do my drag down. Let me drag down to this point. So you see it will fill for others. But you can see that the moment it fills and gets to where it can no longer find this thing, this is the relative movement we were talking about. You see that the moment it fills and gets to that point, Excel is now showing us error from these ones because it can no longer find something to give us here. So how do we solve that? We go back here to where we had our formula. So we lock. So now F4, we come here, we lock F4. We also come here, we lock F4, and we come here also, and we lock F4. So now if we do this and we press enter, so now let's go back there and do our drop down. So if we go back here and do our drop down now. So let's take it to the very end. So you can see that it will fill everything for us. That's because we have locked in everything here. So now if you click here, you see that everything here in this range has been locked. So that is why even if it keeps going down, it will keep working with this. So that's the simple thing about XLOOKUP. You can use it for multiple values. You can also use it not having to mind if you're looking from left to right or from right to left. So that is that with XLOOKUP. So at this point, is there anybody who has a question? So I think for today, we'll be stopping here. So if you have a question, please, you can ask your question now. Anyone with a question, please ask now. Okay, I have Mr. Ben, hand raised. So Mr. Ben, you can unmute and ask your question.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
All right. H lookup is horizontal and then V lookup is vertical. So this X lookup can be, you can work with it left to right and right to left. So but the X, is it the full meaning should be what? I don't understand, sir.
Okay, you're trying to look for what the full meaning is for.
And because if yes, sir, if I'm telling someone that I'm using H lookup, I will say that H is horizontal lookup. So then if I am using X lookup, what will I say it stands for? Because I know one day if I'm telling someone about this, he will ask me the same question. So what will I take that as?
Oh, okay, I think me myself, I have not thought of that. So maybe
Okay.
I'll go and think of that then. Then I have the answer
Okay.
for you.
Okay.
I've always known it as X lookup. So I've never
Okay,
looked
sir.
for what the X is for. So I'll look into
Okay,
that.
sir.
Okay.
All right.
So Helly, you can unmute now.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I just want to know if this record will be uploaded on the
Yes,
WhatsApp
it
page
will.
because I need to visit it. Okay. Thank you, sir.
To be uploaded.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any other question? Any other person with a question? Okay, so it's true. If your Excel, for the person that is asking how do I upgrade my office, my Excel program. So if your Excel is not at least 2021 upward, so you cannot have X lookup on it. So you just need to upgrade it to 2021, or you can use Office 365. Then you should have a X lookup on it. Okay, so for the person asking for the exercise for practice, okay, I'll look into that. So I'll try and drop the data set for us to use and practice. So the very day the recording is ready, I'll drop it with the data set so we can practice. Okay, so I guess that's all. I'm not seeing any other hand raised. So that will be the end for today's class. So we've done a lot today. So I really hope we'll go back and practice on what we've done. So when the video is dropped, please go through it and make sure you try other things yourself. That's the only way you can make progress here. So you learn and try doing new things. Okay, so at this point, I'll say thank you everyone for joining. It was a pleasure being here. So until we cross paths again. So good night.